DeMar DeRozan truly found out the NBA is a business when he was traded for Kawhi Leonard on Wednesday, considering Raptors general manager Masai Ujiri had promised him he wouldn't be traded. But once the dust settled on that gap of communication, Toronto fans started getting excited about the prospect of the two-time Defensive Player of the Year and former NBA Finals MVP joining the team alongside Danny Green. While the Raptors did well to revamp their offense by getting more player and ball movement, as indicated by the huge jump in passes per game, it was only a regular season fix. DeRozan doubled his usual output from three, reduced some of the dreaded mid-range, and the Raptors won a franchise record 59 games. But the question all year was, can they stick to this formula in the playoffs against their nemesis LeBron James? And the answer was a resounding no. The 8 to 16 foot range was still the most popular zone outside of the restricted area for DeRozan, and you can see the drop-off in percentage when jacking up shots in the regular season versus a prepared team in a 7-game playoff series. You can see evidence of why the passing went down so dramatically, and it made for more difficult shots, and DeRozan clearly struggles with contact that doesn't merit a foul. In comparison, during the second round of the 2016 playoffs, Kawhi attacks the middle, gets bumped, and can still hit the one-handed floater. DeRozan would isolate often against perceived mismatches, yet struggled with turnaround shots from outside the lane as extra defenders lurked nearby, knowing he was unlikely to make a pass out. While these aren't bad shots per se, over the course of several playoff disappointments, it became clear they were shots DeRozan could not hit consistently. Meanwhile, under the same harsh glare and pressure of the second round of the playoffs, Kawhi was much more consistent with his inside turnaround game, able to absorb contact, spin away from defenders for openings. While DeRozan could hit these same types of shots in the regular season, once he got into the playoffs, he could never find the range in the face of a little nudge from his defender. As the refs let more and more go, his uncreative drives to the basket became easier to thwart as he landed on the ground hoping for the call. Meanwhile, Kawhi has developed into the type of player whose strong shoulders and immense hands allow him to twist and contort his body, fight through the contact, and still hit the shot. Here he creates a pretty good shot off the dribble, but it's the dreaded mid-range, worth only 2, and he's trying to do it on LeBron, whose defense wasn't good all year, but still carried with him the air of a king. Kawhi was able to torch any defender, no matter their ability, like this attack on the catch on Ariza, then sidestepping for a little more space to splash this beauty of a jumper. There were times DeRozan got too caught up in creating contact, trying to force the ref to make a call, and not being able to finish without the whistle. But with Kawhi, he has a much more creative palette of finishing moves at the basket, not worrying nearly as much about doing the ref's job for them. Time and again against the Cavs, DeRozan tried to get on track by forcing the issue and dealing with body contact where the refs simply weren't going to give him the foul. And Kawhi was patiently reading the defense and looking for openings in space to get his shot off. For some reason, DeRozan got even less calls out of the pick and roll, finding penetration and tons of contact on many possessions, but not getting a foul and unable to finish the baskets either. Kawhi, on the other very large hand, was able to shrug off contact and still hit shots like this one-handed floater over Harden, or avoid the long arms of Capella with another one-hander that saw some body contact down low that did not affect him. DeMar did find some success near the basket against Cleveland. In fact, he shot better at the rim in this round than he did during the regular season. But Kawhi won up that finish by getting middle, elevating, and quick dunking over Capella. The fact of the matter is that Kawhi is simply better at the same type of game than DeRozan is, pulling up off the dribble and hitting mid-range jumpers. And if the analytics have to live with long twos, then you'd rather have the guy that can make more of them. Which brings us to the three-pointer. While DeRozan did increase his attempts and percentage, I'd argue that with his two-motion shot, he'll never be a consistent threat from back there, as the transfer of energy will never be smooth enough from his legs up into the release, because he brings the ball to the side of his head. Kawhi Leonard's three-point shot has really developed and does have good rhythm on his release as he keeps the ball in front of his face the entire time. Whether he's spotting up on a catch and shoot or being aggressive off the dribble, we've got enough evidence of his good shooting, particularly in the playoffs, to know that he's a huge asset from behind the line and will no doubt improve the Raptors' offense immeasurably. In the end, the point of this video isn't to call out DeMar DeRozan as being a bad player. He had a very good season, hitting tons of the same shots I pointed out that he missed versus Cleveland. It's not that he's incapable, it's just that for some reason, under the pressure of the playoffs, with the added physicality permitted by the refs, he's just not able to recreate his regular season success. Perhaps a change of scenery was needed, and he'll get over his demons playing for Pop in San Antonio. But it's clear that the Raptors are getting a big upgrade on offense in every facet except assists, and I believe we'll see Kawhi take on more of that role this year. The only question we have is, can Kawhi return to peak form after sitting out almost all of last year? If he can, then he'll remind us all how truly good he is, someone who merits being in the top 3 of the MVP race. And let's not forget that DeMar's defense was suboptimal at best, a guy who never made very many defensive plays at all, and someone who you hoped didn't kill you on that end. While Kawhi Leonard is one of the best perimeter defenders of all time, and a guy who routinely makes transcendent plays at the hardest position to defend in the league. If the Raptors can make a deep run in the playoffs next year, perhaps Masai convinces Kawhi to stay, which would make this trade a steal for Toronto. Sports fans, make sure to hit the subscribe button and adjust your settings so you can get notified immediately when we drop another great NBA video. Let us know how you feel with a thumbs up and a comment. After all, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?